Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast, episode 189. Pete Alonso. I'm Nick, and we have Harrison tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
I'm not as lonely as Pete Alonso is. I'll tell you that right now.
Dude, I don't know what's going on with him. We're going to get into that and Alex Bregman and all of the other free agent news going forward. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram, Rumble, TikTok. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, as always, our affiliate links with Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You can find these on all of our socials. You click on the link and buy products through our link. We get a nice little kickback without asking you guys directly for money. It comes at no extra cost to you. It's just a way for you guys to show support towards us. And it's just a nice little partnership we have going with them. So please support us by buying products that you would get through these companies anyways. Through us, that would be a huge help.
Speaking of which, that hat looks new, Nick. Is that a Lids hat that just showed up?
It is for sure. And I got another Boston one too. So
yeah, I got a couple in the cart. Just got to check out and get them sent to me because it's baseball. It's almost baseball season. 60 days away from opening day. It's time to load up on some fresh swag for the season.
absolutely. All right. And we have some really exciting news. We are dropping Rounding Third Boston. Our first episode will be next Sunday. I am so pumped for this. As a lot of you guys know that follow us, we are Red Sox fans first, but we love the game of baseball. That's why we talk about it league wide as well. But this podcast is going to be in addition to this one. So we're not going separate. We are doing both still. This is just an offshoot of what we are doing now. But it will be obviously concentrated on the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, it's a separate page. You can certainly, if you're a Boston fan, would love to see over there. I'll drop the link in the chat to the new page. Jump in. Let's start talking Boston baseball. We are longtime passionate Red Sox fans. Looking forward to getting that conversation going as well as this one and having more ways to talk baseball with all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be having both podcasts on the same night, but we'll just be splitting it up. So you guys will see how it works as it goes along. But yeah, next Sunday, February 2nd, tune in for that.
And the good news is that means 2 shows on Sundays, 2 shows on Thursdays, possibly. So now you're talking bonus talk baseball.
That's
Doesn't
right.
get any better than that.
Yeah, I can't wait. So, all right, let's hop into it. And are the Blue Jays going to land Pete Alonso? So it's come out that it's believed that the Jays have offered him 3 years, $75 million. What would that bring to that lineup, Harrison?
I mean, it's another bat. I mean, it's another power bat. That their lineup was never their problem. Their problem was always the pitching, and it looks like they're going to try to out-hit their pitching. And I mean, Pete in Toronto in a dome stadium, no effects of wind. I think he'll do well there. Not to mention traveling all around, playing everywhere else too. So, I think Pete in that lineup, you mix him in with Bo Bichette, Santander, Vladdy. I mean, that's a pretty brutal stretch of 4 hitters that could all hit more than 40 on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does this move alone make the Blue Jays a contender in the AL East?
I think it makes them a contender for a wild card. I don't think they have the pitching to win the East, but I do think they'll be in the running for a wild card spot. I mean, I'd put them up there with the Red Sox and the Orioles. I'd probably put them neck and neck with the Orioles, maybe a step behind the Red Sox because of the pitching. But that's a team that's going to be dangerous, and nobody's going to look forward to going to Toronto to face them.
No, I mean, they do have Bowden Francis, who we saw last year. The kid came up and made a, immediate impact right away.
Almost threw 2 no-hitters.
Yeah, that kid's got crazy stuff. And they have pitching there. I just don't understand why they're not performing. I
feel like they've missed that ace. They haven't, Manoah was that guy, and then he kind of fell apart, and then you had to move Gausman up and Barrios and Bassett, and guys are pitching, and honestly, when those are good arms, those are good pitchers. They should be better than they are, but I think a lot of times they're matched up against just better pitching. And I will say the Blue Jays last year, their season last year was weird. Vladdy had a monster season, a monster second half. But that offense overall was down. Kirk had a terrible season. Bo Bichette was down. Like you didn't get the typical production you would expect from that team. So they were a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. I think that's a better team than we saw last year as a baseline. But that team's going to slug. They do have enough pitching to not to lose a bunch of games, 10-8. But I don't think they don't have like World Series championship pitching. They've got pitching that's probably good enough to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you add Alonso in this lineup with he can pretty much just concentrate on thump, right? Because Vladdy hits for power, but also hits for average. Like the dude gets on base. Santander with more thump in there. If he repeats his 44 and 100 season, I mean, Jays could be hitting some balls out of the ballpark quite regularly, and with those four.
And your lineup could go Springer, Bichette, Vladdy, Alonso, Santander, or flip flop Alonso and Santander to go lefty righty in there. Like you got some options.
Yeah.
And that's a nasty 1 through 5 to start a game. That's no pitcher is going to look forward to facing that lineup.
No, not at all. However,
right. But that assumes
Vladdy Jr. Could he be on the move if the Jays sign Alonso?
Yeah. So the rumors are that if Alonso signs, that the Blue Jays may look at this as an opportunity to move Vladdy. One, because he'd bring back a pretty good haul with potentially some major league ready players that could fill some other holes they have. And two, they're not confident they'll reach agreement with him on an extension. And, we went back and forth on this the other day. I think Vladdy's a tough one to sign. These big-bodied first basemen, look at Pete Alonso, they don't always age well. And I think the fear is like the Miguel Cabrera contract, where his last 7 years, he was basically a replacement level player. You don't want to sign this guy to a 10, 12, 15-year deal and have half the years him being basically a replacement level player at that payroll. Not saying Vladdy is that guy, but we didn't think Miguel Cabrera would be that guy either, and he was. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry, we agree with you. Yeah. We think Alonso definitely does, make them a wild card contender.
For sure.
As the AL East is going to be interesting. I think it's the Yankees, then I think it's everyone else except for the Rays. I think it's a 3-team race for that wild card spot. But
I saw some projected standings the other day that showed the Rays finishing second in that division. I'm like, who is still thinking the Rays are going to win games? I mean, they're not going to win none, but they're not going to win 90 games. I mean, that AL East is probably Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles, Blue Jays right now. The Blue Jays sign Alonso, and if Manoah actually comes back, I would flip-flop that, and I'd go Blue Jays, and I'd put the Orioles to fourth.
Yeah.
Because the Orioles are not going to have the pitching.
No, and that offseason they just had or are having has not been good.
It's a dumper. They did not get better this offseason.
Yeah. So rumors are that if Vlad does get traded, the Mets, with Soto, the Dominican Republic kind of connection there, it's also been rumored out there that Vladdy would love to come to the Red Sox. But if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you are not trading this guy within the division unless you are handing me the entire Worcester Woo Sox organization.
Yeah.
You're not going to trade him within the division. There's no way. No. So it'd wait till free agency, and then hopefully the Red Sox sign him would be his only hope of getting into Boston.
Yeah, and there's no way the Red Sox want to trade top prospects to Toronto to watch them develop right in front of them. I mean, if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm asking for two of these three guys: Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Mayer. Two of those three guys have to be in this deal.
If not all three.
If not all three. At a minimum, two of them are going to be there. And then you're going to get two other prospects who are probably AA level on the way up. This is going to be a 3 or 4 prospect package. You may even maybe a guy like Tristan Casas goes in there and you can take a prospect off the table. But it's going to be a massive trade package. This will be a Soto level trade package.
Yep. 1,000% agree.
And look how well that worked out for the Padres.
Yeah. Went bankrupt almost.
Yeah. Well, when they traded him away, that's when things got better. They brought in King, and I mean that whole team was different.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as much as I would like to see Vladdy stay in Toronto, I don't know if the Blue Jays are going to offer him the extension he wants. I think it was up around $400 million or north of $400 million. So I don't know if the Blue Jays are going to pull the trigger on that or not.
No, I mean, you're talking he's going to be at a minimum like a 10-year 450 deal. I mean, probably minimum.
It's
And
crazy.
given what you've seen from Soto, and I think what the market has told you these young players should be getting, I mean, he'll have to be mid to high 40s, which
Yeah.
blows me away because Aaron Judge, granted not as long a deal, Aaron Judge is 40 billion. Wild.
But he's also 25. That's helping him,
It is.
get the higher end of the dollars there. But
It is. I could see somebody offering him an 8 to 10 year deal. I think that the 10 plus deals that we saw the last couple of years are, other than Soto, who I think they had to because they just had to get him. I don't think teams are going to be lining up to give those out. And that's honestly why for Soto, it came down to like 2 teams because teams were just not going to give him what he was looking for.
Yep, agree. All right. Alex Bregman latest here. So the Astros have reportedly left the door open a crack. So pretty much Bregman has gone out, shopped around, hasn't gotten what he's been looking for. And he's kind of coming back home with his tail tucked between his legs, being like, hey, will you let me back on the team, sort of thing. And then it was reported, I think it was yesterday, Altuve said he would be open to a position change because of the trade to Chicago with Kyle Tucker. They got Isaac Paredes, so that brings him to third base. They'll probably slide Paredes over to second, put Bregman back at third, and Altuve said he would play left field. Now, that's only if they end up signing Bregman.
Right.
But that would be interesting to see Altuve play some left field, little 5'4" left fielder out there. That'd be interesting.
I mean, you'd lose him out there. Like, I'm not even sure you'd see the guy out there. He'd be like completely hidden in the grass, just blending in. But I mean, Altuve's super talented. I'm sure he could play anywhere. And
sure.
In all fairness, Altuve is not a great second baseman. Like, he's good. He's a good enough second baseman. Like, defensively, he doesn't wow you. He makes the routine plays, and that's about it. So Paredes to second is an upgrade for defense, and left field is so small in Houston because of the Crawford boxes that, it's like Manny playing at Fenway. It was one of those things where like you can hide some defensive issues there because it's so small.
Yeah. He's going to the Dodgers.
I saw this the other day. Like, why would the Dodgers stop now? Like, they should just sign him too, because Kim is a light hitting infielder who looks like a utility guy. Max Muncy's probably gone next year because why would you keep him if you can get Bregman? It would be crazy if he ends up in LA, but I would not be shocked at this point.
Yeah. I think ultimately he goes back to the Astros. It seems like the Tigers and Red Sox talks have really died down a lot. Yeah. And they're just not going to give him what he wants. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, and don't forget, I mean, the Astros offered him 6 years, 156 at the very beginning of the offseason. He said no. He wanted to go test his market. He wanted more like 30 mil, 32 mil a year. He wanted a 5-6 year contract minimum. And what he's running up against is the Red Sox are okay giving him the 30 million a season, but they're not going to go beyond 4. But he really wants 5 or 6, and the Tigers can't give him the annual average value. So they'll give him 5, but they won't give him the 30 mil. He's going to be more like at 26, like he was with the Astros. And there's a third team that's believed to have made an offer, which I feel like has to be the Blue Jays. That's another 4-year deal. So I think when you look around, the best offer he has is still the first one he got from the Astros. And I think that's why he's back talking to them to say, basically looking like, hey, is that offer still on the table? Because I'm not finding better.
Yeah.
Which we didn't think he would. We thought he was most valuable to the Astros, and it's proving to be that way.
Yeah. I said this to you earlier this week is, these last 2 off seasons have been really, really difficult to navigate for free agents that aren't named Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto. They have demanded such an outrageous number that these other free agents honestly have no feel of what the market is, because they can't. I mean, you're going in blind. You can't determine what you're worth when you're paying Juan Soto $800 million and Shohei Ohtani $700 million. Like, yes, I get the premium, free agents that the game has ever seen, but it's hard to set your market when you're like, okay, well, he's getting paid 800 million over this contract. Like, what do I even ask for?
Right. Right.
Like,
Well, and the other part of
right?
it too, like, 15-year deal, like you can't comp a 15-year deal to a 6-year contract.
No,
Like 15-year deal is going to be a bigger total, maybe less AAV. Shorter term contracts can be higher AAV, less of an overall total. Completely different terms, different structures, different opt out languages. Like they're not the same.
no,
And as much as we talk about Soto being a generational talent, but when you look at the difference between Soto and like a Vladdy or a Kyle Tucker, it's not a big difference. Like Soto's not like so far ahead of his peer group. He's what's working for Soto is his age.
right.
But there's a lot of other guys in the league that do exactly what he does. And in some cases do more than he does. It also makes it hard to compare because really the Mets way overpaid for Soto because of the hype of getting that young guy for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, John sure as hell not coming to Seattle. Heard your TV guy Mike Blowers was coming out of retirement to play third base. I don't know what on earth the Seattle Mariners are doing. I mean,
They got
they.
Donovan Solano, Nick. I mean, they're set.
Oh, you're
Oldham.
right. You're right.
They'll
I
score
mean,
they'll
for
score at
real.
least 5 runs less than last year now.
I just don't get it. I mean, your lineup was a glaring black hole the entire season,
That
and
you've got a World Series caliber pitching staff and a AAA lineup. Like,
it,
help us fix this here.
I don't get it. I don't know why you're not going all in. And they've been quiet. Like it doesn't even seem like they've been making offers to people.
I don't like we said. Like, is the front office even open? Like, do we know for a fact they're even working? Because it doesn't seem like it.
No, it's a shame. It's
An
crazy.
interesting question back here in the chat from Larry. Like, will Trout get traded this year? We ask this question every year. Like, at what point do the Angels say, "Look, this isn't working. We got to move him"? But I think the problem is with Trout's recent injury history, he's got to come back for an extended period and show that he's healthy for a team to want to trade for him and take on that contract. I mean, we've seen Trout play 120 games at most over the last 3 years
Yeah.
in one season. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to make that trade. And we've said for years, like if he's going to get traded anywhere, it's got to be Philly because that brings him closer to home. He could finish up his career close to home. Because I mean, I think you're definitely in the back few years of Trout's career, and he's not even that old. But I mean, physically, I don't see how he goes a lot longer. And I know that contract's got another 5 years on it.
Yeah, I think we looked at a couple weeks ago. It's like 5 or 6 left.
Yeah, so I mean, this is likely his last contract because I don't think physically he makes it beyond that point. But
no, we were talking about his back injury and the degenerative back disorder he has. I can't remember the exact name of it.
degenerative disc, is that what it is?
It's something like that. But the thing with the back injuries, like his back injury might not be flaring up at the time, but it puts a stress on all your other joints, your knees, your ankles, your hips. Like, so, the older he gets, the worse it gets, like we joke about all the time. Like, I can't even get out of bed now. Like, and I'm not even an athlete. So when you have a back disorder like that, it's going to be hard, like you said, to trade him and the injury history and that contract. There's a lot of things that the Angels would have to most likely eat in either terms of less prospects or they eat the money or whatever.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know if he ultimately ends up moving. It sounds like he's a family man. His family settled in Southern California. Even though he's from Philly, his family settled. His immediate family is settled in Southern Cal.
He's been there so long at this point, it's home. But
yeah, I don't see him moving. There's just too many variables, I think.
yeah, I think it'd have to be the absolute right time, right situation for him to be willing to make a move and for the Angels to be able to find a trade partner. And John, you're right. Manny did lead the league in outfield assists a few times in Boston, mainly because he played like right behind the shortstop, because he could play in so far. And honestly, Manny became at Fenway. I mean, he was a nightmare anywhere else, but like at Fenway, he became a really good left fielder because he knew how to play that wall. I mean, other than his random cutoff of Johnny Damon, there weren't like any like completely bizarre misplays from him. He got really good at judging the bounces and he could play in a little bit. It wasn't as much ground to cover. Like he looked like a competent left fielder at Fenway, just like Altuve probably would in Houston with the Crawford boxes, giving him the same advantage of less ground to cover.
Yeah. It's still one of my favorite Red Sox plays of all time. Is him cutting off Johnny Damon.
I would
Then
still love to understand, like, what the hell was he thinking? Like,
he
what
probably still
what did
got
he
the
see?
he got the ball in faster than if Johnny Damon threw it. Still,
I
after
mean
diving, laying out, getting up on his knees, and throwing it from his knees.
I mean, I get it. Johnny Damon did not have much of an arm, but, like, my god, man. Like,
It's
still
funny.
one of the weirdest plays.
Oh my god! And then the
Uh,
other one, he makes the play going up to left center, high
oh,
fives
jeez.
the fan, and then comes
Yeah.
back and hoses the guy out at second. But
Jeez, he was
yeah,
he was an adventure.
yeah,
John here talking about the Angels. Jerry Dipoto could help build that Angels lineup and score 8 runs a game, but couldn't build a pitching staff. And now he's in Seattle and he can't build a lineup. Which it is amazing to me how these GMs go kind of organization to organization and have such different results. Like, you would think they have a program or like a standard operating procedure, but what you find out is, like, you get inside an organization and the beliefs are different, the program is different. Like, that's
yeah,
in many cases you got to learn to work with what you got.
yeah, absolutely. All right. So, do you think Bregman ultimately goes back to the Astros?
I mean, I have to believe at this point with the Tigers and Red Sox, he's probably out, or they're out, one or the other. So I can't imagine they're going to come to terms. I've always believed from the very beginning he was going to end up back in Houston. It made the most sense. He's got the most value to them. He's not an easy guy to move because of the history and the scandal. So I still feel like he ends up back in Houston. I honestly think that he way under or way overestimated his own value,
Yeah,
and
agree.
is now making a Hail Mary in late January to go back to Houston.
Yeah, agree. All right. Today, Ryan Presley traded to the Cubs, so waives his no trade clause to go to the Cubs. And does he take over the closing role there? Does he take it away from his former teammate, Hector Neris?
Didn't he take it away from Neris in Houston also?
Possibly, probably.
So I feel like poor Hector Neris, anytime he goes somewhere, he loses the job to Ryan Presley. But
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine you would trade for Ryan Presley and not think he's going to be your closer. I mean, and Neris is good. I mean, Neris is a very competent ninth inning guy, but I see Neris more valuable in the eighth inning and Presley more of a ninth inning guy. From what I read, they're giving away like a low level prospect and they're getting money from the Astros. So the Astros are dumping this guy for a song. Part of me thinks they're freeing up salary space for Bregman to make that a reality. But
Yeah.
at the same time, when you brought in Josh Hader, we were all like, what happens to Presley? Like, you're not going to have two closers.
Yeah.
And I think Presley probably said, I want to go close somewhere. Like, get me out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, John. It's a good 1-2 punch to have Neris and Presley back. I mean, the Astros have always had a plethora of bullpen arms.
They
Like
have,
they
for some
really
reason.
have. All the time they come up and they develop these guys. Does this put the Cubs to the top in the NL Central here?
I mean, I think the Cubs were already probably on the top of the NL Central. I think this definitely pushes them over the top if they weren't already there. The Brewers, I think, again, like another offseason with big losses and no gains.
Yeah.
And the Cubs have done a lot of really good things.
Yeah.
Tucker and Presley, that rotation is going to be really good. It's deeper. I have high expectations for this Cubs team going into 2025. I think that is a NL Central winning team that might be a little surprising to you in the playoffs because I think they can hang with teams you may not think they can hang with.
Yeah, that starting rotation is, if they can stay healthy, is going to be good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to tuning into some Cubs games for sure this year. So
Yep. Yeah,
hopefully in person in May, because
that's a good team.
Yeah. All right. Jurickson Profar is off the books now. We got 3 years, $42 million with the Braves. Bolsters an already potent lineup, but does he take over for Jared Kelenic?
Yes.
You think he takes that spot away from Kelenic?
100%. I don't think it's because Kelenic hasn't played well. I mean, Kelenic's been good enough, but he hasn't been so good that you don't stick Profar out there. I think Kelenic ends up being your fourth outfielder. He probably moves around and gets some time, because Acuna's coming back off an injury. He's going to need some rest days. I think Kelenic probably still plays 3 times a week. He just moves around to give guys a day off, and that might be a better role for Kelenic. He was he's a good enough left fielder. I think Profar is better and will be the starter. And I mean, there had been like nothing on Profar for weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, he's signing with the Braves. It was which was kind of a surprise, but it makes sense because the Braves have had a tough time filling that left field position now for several years. Like having a good, consistent left fielder. That's been probably their one lineup weakness.
I mean, they had Ozuna out there, but obviously, as he's getting older, you're not going to put him. It's kind of like the Astros sticking Yordan Alvarez out there. It's like an emergency. They'll do it if they have to, but they would prefer not to.
It's not ideal. Not ideal at all.
So, yeah, I mean, if he has another season like he had last year, and the Braves, the big if they come back healthy, this Braves team, it could be running the NL East here.
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic to expect him to have that season again because he's never had it before.
Yeah.
That to me, I think that, and that's part of why I think his market was so slow to develop is people are wondering like how much of a fluke was last season. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's necessarily that kind of player. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. But I mean, if you get 3/4 of what you got out of him next year, I think it's still a good move. It's a good signing, and he is your everyday left fielder.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Paul Sewald to the Guardians, 1 year, $6 million with a $10 million mutual option for 2026. Looking to revitalize career after a tough year with the Diamondbacks. So,
did I miss the part where he was a free agent?
Yeah, I must have too. And I've been following the Diamondbacks pretty hard, but
I saw this signing and I went, he was available? Like,
yeah,
I thought he was still under contract with the Diamondbacks. So
yeah,
surprise,
so did
surprise.
I mean, I hope he can find it. This guy, when he is right, he is good. He had a tough go of it mentally with the Diamondbacks last season. It was really tough to watch. Lovello tried to put him in low stress situations, and even then, sometimes he just couldn't deliver, couldn't find it.
And he was so big for them.
He was huge.
He was so big for them, and then just all of a sudden last year lost it.
Yeah. Did he went to the Diamondbacks separately from Suarez, right?
Yes.
I think that was a separate deal.
I'm pretty sure that was a separate deal to bolster the bullpen for the World Series run.
Okay. Yeah. And then Suarez was that following year.
Yeah, Suarez came later.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean.
Suarez was actually just last year, right? He came over in the winter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, nice one there. Tim Anderson.
John, steal of a deal. Can't believe he didn't come back to Seattle, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I think if the Seattle front office was open, they might have called, but
right. Yeah, Tim Anderson, Angels minor league deal here. I mean, his last 2 years, I was looking at his stats, have been abysmal.
Oh,
really
so
bad. A guy that was looking to be a perennial all-star. First 3 or 4 years of his career, he's hitting close to 300. He's making all-star appearances, and then we just fell apart. I mean, you remember the Field of Dreams game? He hits the late inning home run. Like, I mean, he was a big part of that White Sox team, and then just fell apart.
Jose, from the point of the Jose Ramirez fight, it fell apart for him. Like everything fell off for him. Like he was beginning to show some kind of a decline because from the year before, but like he was still like adequate, and then like he got in that fight with Jose Ramirez and then completely fell off and couldn't recover.
But I mean, I don't hate this move for the Angels though. It's a depth move. It's a minor league deal. Anderson we've seen what he can do. So maybe he does find his way up to the big club at some point here.
If I'm the Angels, I'm bringing him in because it's cheap. I'm helping him revitalize his career, and I'm trading him. Like, I have no intention of putting him on my major league roster. I'm going to deal him to some team who needs a shortstop second half of the year.
Yeah, it's fair.
Like, I think he's a low risk, trade chip.
Yep.
And if he can't figure it out, well, then you just move on from him.
Yep.
But didn't he win a batting title?
He might have. 2020, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, well, does anything in 2020 count?
No. But
I mean, he was a big deal.
Yeah.
He won 2-time All-Star and won a batting title.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the biggest fall offs that we've seen recently, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
2019 won
off
the
a
batting
cliff.
title.
2019 he did.
Yep.
So crazy. All right. This next one is nuts. So the Paul Skeens 1 of 1 rookie card pull. So if you notice, the rookies the last couple of years have been wearing an MLB debut patch on the jersey when they make their debut. After the game, that patch comes off. It's given to Tops. They put it in a card. The guy signs it, and it's literally 1 of 1. So this is the only card in the world that looks like this. So an 11-year-old, bugging his mom at the supermarket to buy him baseball cards. She, folds, gets him a pack. He opens it, pulls the 1 of 1 Paul Skeens rookie card. The Pirates are like, all right, listen, we want that card. Here's what we're going to offer you. 2 seats behind home plate for the next 30 years, exclusive meet and greet with Skeens, 2 autographed Skeens jerseys, Pirates game with Livy Dunn in her suite. I'm sold right there. Card has been.
What's an 11-year-old going to do with Livy Dunn? Come on, man.
He can bring his dad.
Sure. Yeah, that's a gift for dad, not for the 11-year-old kid with the card.
Whatever, just something to sweeten the pot there. But the card has been sent to auction. Harrison, would you have declined this offer as well?
Oh, I totally would have declined the offer because what am I going to do with Pirate season tickets? I don't live anywhere near Pittsburgh, nor do I plan on living anywhere near Pittsburgh, nor do I want to go watch that team every day. I'd love to meet Paul Skeens, but that's not worth giving up the potential payday from that card.
Yeah.
I look at it as like it's a really cool offer for the Pirates to make because I know they want the card, they want it for Paul, they want it for the organization, like it's a big deal. But at the same time, like unless a Pittsburgh Pirate local fan pulls that card, this prize package means nothing to anybody.
No. And like I said, I think before we came on, like if he did take this deal, it would be an absolute pain in the ass to try to sell those 2 seats for every game for the next 30 years.
Forget it.
I mean,
not worth it.
No, absolutely not. And he's not doing it. He's 11. His parents would have to try to figure it out.
Yeah,
but
what the hell is a kid in California going to do with all that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, right? I mean, why would he send the card to auction? I would have just told him to give me the $5 million, which was about the price of the package. It's not a bad point. Harrison and I were kind of, going back and forth, like, sit on it. But then my counter argument to that is, Paul Skeens goes out and blows his elbow. Heaven forbid. I don't want him to. Goes out and blows his elbow. His career's over. Now the card's worth nothing.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. I mean, maybe it would be worth something, but not what he could possibly get for right now because bidding ward's going to be really high for that right now because of the year Skeens had.
Yeah, well, and absolutely right now, like there's a huge frenzy for anything Paul Skeens. And like you have to take advantage of that right now. He is the number 1 most desirable card, merchandise piece, et cetera, in baseball, aside from Ohtani. You have to take advantage of that right now. And I mean, if an 11-year-old clears $3 million on a card sale and then invest that, I mean, he'll never work a day in his life.
Yeah. Yeah. How much are the seats in Pittsburgh worth? I think $25 we saw for right behind home plate.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like if you go up there like on game day, they'll give you a voucher for like all your food for free. Like there's no battle for those seats.
No.
The math doesn't work to see that as a value trade.
If it's Yankee Stadium, then you've probably got a deal. I mean, it's crazy though. Even when I went to Yankee Stadium this past fall, like those seats are crazy expensive down there. But
I'm sorry. If I've got a card that's worth $3, $4, $5 million, I don't want season tickets. I want the cash, and I'm gonna go do with that what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the new Charizard.
I know. I just saw that. Love that.
It basically is.
Yeah.
I mean I remember as kids, Nick. Like, you look up in your most recent Beckett and be like, yeah, this card's worth $20. That's awesome. I mean, this is insane. What we've gotten to with trading cards.
It really is. And yeah, these new ones, like I said, with the patch are insane.
people are spending like $1,000 a box for a
Mhm.
pack or two of cards because they
Yeah.
have all these like one of ones, one of fives, one of 50s, one of 500s. Like it's crazy what we've gotten to in terms of value for cards.
Yeah. All right. So I have it right now, right behind home plate at PNC Park, $353.
So you're $700 a night for 81 games.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep. So 2 tickets, $706 is what he would make every game times 80
That's assuming you can get face value.
over right over 30 years. But still, that's a lot of work you're putting into all of that to get those sold every single night.
Yeah. So that is 56,000 a season, 30 years, 1.7 million.
Yeah.
I'll just
So,
take the money now, please. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. And just put it in my good. College paid, you're right. College paid for, yeah.
Might be too soon for the fire insurance comment, but you're not wrong.
That just like clicked. Sorry, my processing speed was really slow on that one.
Yeah,
but
like it's still
good one.
smoking out there, man. I don't think we want to go down that road.
They did get rain today, so good for them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't have taken this offer either. I think I would have, as much as I told you I wouldn't have sat on it. I think I would have. I think I would have sat on it for a little bit.
I definitely would have thought about it. I would have considered sitting on it maybe because like if he goes out and throws up another crazy season, then it's the frenzy's only going to get more intense.
Yeah, but you're also striking while the iron's hot. Everyone's talking about Paul Skeens, the year he had.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
cycles are short. The cycles are short.
right.
If he goes out there and does anything less than like win a Cy Young next year, like he's going to be old news.
Yeah, agree.
So I think there's maybe you don't sell it today, maybe you sell it in a month or two, but like you probably can't wait very long because everybody's dying for that card right now.
Yep, agree. All right, Harrison.
Oh boy.
Now I have a trivia question for every single Major League Baseball team right now. So I have 30 questions for you. So buckle in the comments, help Harrison out, please.
Boy, please help.
But here we go. MLB trivia by team. Who hit the first home run in Tampa Bay Devil Rays history?
First home run. All right. So on that first team, you had Freddie McGriff.
Yep, not him.
You had Longoria was too young. Oh, you had Wade Boggs. Did Boggs do it?
It was Wade Boggs. Nice job.
Wasn't his 3,000th hit also a home run in Tropicana?
Yep. Yes, it was. Wade
Good old
Boggs.
Wade Boggs.
Yep. All right.
A
Next
very
one,
underappreciated hitter.
for sure. In the 1996 ALCS, Derek Jeter hit a home run to right field that the Orioles right fielder claimed was fan interference. Who was the Orioles right fielder?
Oh man, I know his name too. It is it's not Carrasco, it's
You're so close.
Tony Tarasco.
Tony Tarasco. Yes, good.
I know this. That picture's like burned in my memory.
Yeah. I still go back and forth on this. From this angle, it doesn't look like he legit had a shot, but the angle down the wall totally looks like he had a shot.
That was 1,000% fan interference, and Tarasco was going to make that catch. Yeah. I think when you look down the wall and you look at the close-ups, like he was under it. He was going to make that catch. But if nothing else, the kid brought it in. Like it was going to hit. Worst case, it was going to
stay. Right.
Yeah, it was 100% staying in the ballpark.
Yeah, like I said, from this angle, it doesn't look like he has even a prayer. But when they do the camera shot down the wall, that's when you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely.
That 1,000% was not a home run, and it was probably 85% likely that he catches it. But I feel like he was under it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll never forget watching that and just going, what? Like how do you get that wrong? But of course, that was before replay and everything else. You literally had the one umpire running down the right field line trying to make that call.
And as he's running, his head's going up and down, so he can't see that well.
See. Replay would have fixed that in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Both no shot, but fan interference. Yeah, agree. All right. Next one. Who was the first Toronto Blue Jays player to lead the American League in home runs?
Oh, dear
This
Lord.
happened in 1986. This is a name I think you've heard of, but probably doesn't jump to mind.
No. Is it like a Tartable or a...
It's a player sort of like that. He played right field, bats right, throws right. Played from Toronto from 81 till 89 and then got traded to the Yankees from 89 to 92.
like a Batista, a who the hell in 86?
This is a really tough one. This is Jesse Barfield.
Oh, okay. Definitely a name I would know, but not a guy that I
Right.
would expect to lead the Blue Jays in home runs.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, the name definitely rings a bell, but I was just young enough. I mean, I was 2 years old when this happened,
Yeah.
So it's like,
I was in diapers.
right. So, yep, Jesse Barfield. All
That's
right. Who has the most All-Star game appearances representing the New York Yankees?
Boy, this is going to go back. This is going to be like a Yogi
No,
DiMaggio?
not DiMaggio. You're
Mantle?
around Mantle. Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was going to be one of those guys, like one of those
Yep.
legends from that.
Yeah.
That's when they won all their World Series too.
20, and then they also get credit because that was when they had like the 2 All-Star games in the same year
right.
as well. So,
I forgot about that.
yep, 20.
Because you got guys with more All-Star game appearances than seasons played.
Yep. All right. Red Sox question for you here, Harrison. Who was the last player to wear number 42 for the Red Sox before it was retired league-wide?
I'd be so mad if I got this wrong. It'd be the one and only Foxy Lady Hummer Rollover Master, Mo Baume.
Yes, sir. Big Mo Baume, the hit dog.
Yeah, and I feel
Mo
like they
Baume.
retired it like right after he left Boston, but
It was
the guys that still had that number were allowed to continue to wear it. Like Rivera
Yes.
still wore it.
right. When did they retire Robinson's? It has to be 97. 97.
97, yeah.
April 15th, 1997. So yeah, that was right around the end of his career-ish.
Yeah, because he was what, 95 MVP?
Yep.
So yeah, he was only in Boston a few more years and gone.
Yeah. Then he went to the Angels after that, right?
Yeah.
Angels and Mets.
And that's when he messed up his ankle going down the dugout steps trying to catch the ball and was never the same.
Yeah. All right. Despite having over 500 career home runs, which player never led the league in home runs?
Is the color a hint? Is this the White Sox?
Yes, this is the White
Okay,
Sox.
because the first player that came to mind was Frank Thomas, because I'm pretty
And-
sure I've heard a question like this before.
Yes, it is. It's Frank Thomas.
Yeah, because that blows my mind that he never led the league once.
And had over 500 bombs.
I mean, and there were. It wasn't like he hit like 30 every season for a long, long time. Like he hit some bombs.
Yeah, agree.
But like he was constantly getting clipped by other guys that hit just a boatload of home runs too.
Yeah, even his teammate that one year, Albert Bell, hit 49. So it was like eclipsed his like 46 or whatever that year. So it was just like
constantly lost to other guys.
Yeah. But this guy was so fun to watch growing up. Like just so huge in the batter's box. And you're like, this is ridiculous.
I remember seeing the White Sox at Fenway when I was young and seeing him like walk on the field. Like it looked like a Buick stood up and grabbed a bat and stepped into the batting cage for BP. Like just a giant human being.
Absolutely crazy. And all that Nugenics he's using. Yep. For sure.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Next one. Who was the starting pitcher for the Cleveland Indians in Game 1 of the 1997 World Series against the Marlins?
Oh, I just saw a clip of this not that long ago. Who was it? It was not who I thought it was going to be. It wasn't Nagy. It wasn't Nagel or one of those guys. It was Oh God. Oral Hershiser.
It was Oral Hershiser. Nice
Yep.
pull,
Well, not
Harrison.
yeah. I saw a clip on this like maybe a week or two ago, and I thought for sure it was a guy like Nagy that started that game, and it was not.
I completely spaced that he was
Yep.
on this pitching staff.
100%.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
I completely forget Oral Hershiser was part of that team.
yep. I just always think of him giving up that home run to what was it, McGuire, and he just turns around and goes, "Wow!" Like
Yeah.
that one, like and him in a Dodgers uniform. That's really the only. I just don't picture him in an Indians
Yeah.
uniform. Yeah,
When
crazy.
you mention Earl Hershiser, all I think of is the Dodgers.
Yeah,
I mean, and he was in Cleveland for
1000%.
3 years. I mean, it wasn't like he
Yeah,
was just like stopped by there a little bit, and he was really good in Cleveland for those 3 years.
yeah,
And then he bounced around for 3 more years and was gone. Went back to the Dodgers to end his career, but yeah, I mean, he was so good, and I continually forget that he was anywhere but LA.
yep. Same. Yeah, I put that in because I was like, "Oh, dang! I completely forgot he was there." So I was like, "Got to throw that one in."
Yeah, I remembered it being like a Nagy or somebody like that, but
Yeah,
nope.
nice one. All right. Which Kansas City Royals pitcher made 3 All-Star teams and finished in the top 5 in Cy Young voting 5 times in his 12-year career, mostly with KC?
There's only 2 guys that come to mind. Is it Greinke?
Not Greinke.
Saberhagen?
It's not Saberhagen.
Who the hell else?
It is a relief pitcher.
What? A
Yes.
reliever?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Like recent or this going back a ways?
Not a ways. I'd say like 80s, 90s. Has a funky delivery.
Oh, is this Quisenberry?
It is Dan
Yeah,
Quisenberry. Yep.
Okay.
Good.
You said funky
Mhm.
delivery. I'm like, oh yes, okay.
I knew that was going to be the hint to give it
Yep.
away, but yeah, Dan Quisenberry. Good.
Man, I didn't realize he had so many Cy Young votes.
Yeah. Crazy.
I mean, I know he was nasty, but holy
Yep.
cow!
Nice little 2-seamer he's throwing here, but
Oh, he
crazy.
had that. I can only imagine what it was like hitting off of him.
No.
That's
him
gotta
like
be weird.
was it Chad Bradford that would like scrape his knuckles against the ground?
Chad
like, all that
Bradford,
stuff.
Young Kim, was it Darren O'Day? Like those guys that
Yeah.
like threw from like their friggin' shoe tops. I don't know how you hit that,
No.
especially when
I
it's
don't-
moving and then it's coming up and then sliding away. Like
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah. All right. Which Minnesota Twins player won the World Series MVP in 1987? And it was a pitcher,
So wasn't that McDowell?
not McDowell.
Oh no, who? Lefty.
Mm-hmm. Also pitched for the Red Sox at one point.
Oh right, Viola, Frank Viola.
Yes. Nice job, Frank Viola. Good. You were there pretty
Sweet-
much. You got
Sweet music,
it. Yep.
Frankie V.
Absolutely.
And
All right.
then he had that nasty arm break that ended his career. That was
Mhm.
gross.
Yeah. All right. Which Detroit Tiger was the 1984 World Series MVP? And this is a well-known Tiger. You should know this one.
I was gonna say there's only like a couple names that come to mind, like Trammell.
Yes, Alan
Okay,
Trammell.
like
Good.
when I think of the Tigers of the '80s, like he's literally the only name that comes into mind that I don't have to like
Yep.
think really hard about.
Yep. Alan Trammell. Nice work. All right. On to the AL West we go.
Oh boy,
Who recorded the most career saves post
2000.
2000 for the Oakland Athletics?
Say I almost said Billy Koch, but I don't think he was. I don't think he was there very long.
He was second behind this guy.
Oh, is he second? Okay, so he's
Yeah, but with like 60 something.
yeah.
It wasn't
He
a
wasn't.
ton.
He wasn't there that long. So it's got to be. Oh God, what was his name? Houston Street.
Yes, sir. Nice job.
Yeah.
Houston Street 94.
94. That's all he had. I feel like
That's
that
it.
was.
So he had a lot more in his career, but he compiled them all up with the Rockies, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I forgot about that. He was not in Oakland that long.
Yeah, I think he compiled the bulk of his saves because he ended with, I think, north of 300, if I remember right, or close to it.
324. Yeah, he was only in Oakland for 4 years. Huh.
Yeah. And then Colorado for how many?
1, 2, 3 in Colorado, 3 in San Diego, 4 in LA, and then he was gone by 13 years. He's only in Oakland for 4 years. Wow.
Yeah. Seemed longer than that, but
I mean, that was the Oakland A's produced so many good pitchers there for a stretch. It was friggin' Hudson Mulder Zito, then it was Heron and Harden and Houston Street. Like they just kept rolling these guys through.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. You're not wrong, John. Moneyball trades.
Yeah.
All over the place for sure.
They just kept rolling pitchers through.
Yep. All right. Who holds the franchise record for most stolen bases in their career for the California Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim?
Oh boy. Well, who's there a long time? Erstad didn't steal a lot of bases. Garrett Anderson didn't steal a lot of bases. Kendrick didn't. Eckstein didn't. I mean, he did, but not a lot.
You're in the right area with Eckstein, like around that position on the field.
Okay. Who else was a speedster? Oh, the little third baseman that slapped the ball. Sean Figgins.
Yes, nice job, Sean Figgins. 280. Sean Figgins.
I used to love watching him play. He was, I mean, he would just like bloop it over the third baseman's head and be standing at second base. Like it was crazy.
And those Angels teams were fun to watch.
They were fast paced. They would hit and run. They'd bunt. They'd steal. Mike Scioscia was, a friggin' wizard with what he had to work with.
Yep, absolutely.
I haven't said the name Sean Figgins in a long time.
I know. I always remember like watching and be like Chone. Like
I know
who names their kids Chone. But yeah, awesome. All right. Who holds the career franchise record for both pitching wins and losses for the Texas Rangers?
Oh, geez. Nolan?
Not Nolan.
Wins and losses. That's a tough one.
So think about, we had a trivia question a while back about a guy that won 20 games and lost 20 games in the same season, but he threw a specific pitch.
Did Charlie Huff?
Is this Charlie Huff? It's Charlie Huff. Yeah.
Look, I didn't realize he was in Texas so long.
Yeah, 139 wins, 123 losses.
Wow.
John, Kenny Rogers was a good guess.
Yeah, John, that was my next guess was Kenny Rogers. I was just trying to rack my brain with pitchers that have been there a long time. It's like,
yeah.
I remember I used to love watching Kenny Rogers pitch. He had that big looping curveball.
Yep. Charlie Huff.
Him and was it Al Leiter that had those those crazy looping curveballs?
Yep. All right. Who holds a franchise record in stolen bases for the Houston Astros?
Oh dear Lord, this is going to go back a ways, isn't it?
This is your 80s.
Is this like Jose Cruz's dad or somebody like that?
No.
Is it an Alou?
It's not an Alou. I mean, it's always a good guess, but no, he was a center fielder, first baseman, played in Houston from 70 to 81, then to the Reds from 82 to 85, and then finished up his career with 1 year stints with the Cardinals and Dodgers.
70 to 81.
Yeah, this is honestly like the 70s are my weak spot when it comes to trivia. I know nothing about 70s baseball. It's tough for me.
Well, I feel like the 60s, 70s, 80s, like you have so many things that like all start to blend together in that time frame.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a Cruz, wasn't an Alou.
This is a name you've definitely heard, but probably don't think about often, if at all. This is Cesar Cedeno.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely name I've heard, but not. Yeah. We could have been here all night. I wasn't going to pull him.
Yeah, 487 steals.
That's some stolen bases right there.
Yep, absolutely.
Back when the Astros had those fire jerseys.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Colored stripes.
Mm-hmm. The orange ones with the stripes too, like brutal. All right, Pacific Northwest. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Who was the first Seattle Mariners player to ever hit for a cycle happened on June 23rd, 1993.
So 93. So who was there in 93? Edgar,
Not Edgar,
say, I don't think Junior ran for cycle, did he?
not Junior,
Tino?
not Tino.
Who else was on that team? Jay Buhner?
It is Jay Buhner.
he's the only other guy I can remember.
Yep, Jay Buhner.
I used to
There
love
you
Jay
go.
Buhner. I used to love to watch him tumble into the bullpen in Fenway.
Yep. Another big man too.
Yeah, him and his Mr. Clean bald head. I used to love Jay Buhner.
Yep.
He was
All
one
right.
Of one of those guys that played hard every day.
Absolutely. All right. Over to the NL now. Yep. John got it. He said Blowers
Nice.
or Buhner. Yeah, it's Buhner. Good. All right.
Oh boy.
Who is the only Braves player to have played in all three cities the Braves have called home in their franchise history?
Boy, Hank Aaron?
No, great guess. His first year was in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. Oh.
He is in the Hall of Fame.
Is it a pitcher?
It is not a pitcher.
Oh, well, okay. I was going on very much the wrong path.
You were going Warren Spahn, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
But he started in Milwaukee as well. This
Damn.
guy is a third baseman. I think he ended with 511 career home runs.
Damn, that's a lot of home runs.
Yeah, he was a lefty. Sorry, 512 home runs. I was off by one.
Oh, who am I forgetting? That's a tough time frame.
Yeah, this is Eddie Matthews.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So 52 in Boston. It was the last year they were in Boston, and then Milwaukee for that stretch, and then only in Atlanta for 1.5.
So he just caught it. Okay.
He just caught all three, which is pretty cool.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Matthews is a good one.
All right. Wordy one here. The Minnesota Twins traded Johan Santana to the Mets for 3 pitching prospects and what center fielder prospect that eventually played for the Brewers, Astros, Rangers, Rays, and then back with the Mets in 2019 to end his career.
Wow, that's quite the path. All right, so where would he best be known for? The Brewers?
I would say so. Brewers and Rangers for sure.
Brewers and Rangers. And I agree, John. Shame on us for missing Eddie Matthews. That is one we should have gotten. Who? And that would have been 90s.
This guy was quite cocky, started a lot of problems on the field, got into the middle of a lot of fights and brawls.
Not Milton Bradley, right?
Not Milton Bradley, not quite to that extent, but
not Carl Everett.
No.
Who?
This guy could run. Right-handed batter. Had a little bit of pop to him.
Is this like a Cargo? Like a Carlos Gonzalez or Carlos Gomez?
Carlos Gomez, yes. Good. Yeah, so I would say Brewers, Rangers, and Rays is where you would know.
When you mentioned the Brewers, I started to think about that, and like the only guy I can think of in that era was Cargo.
No, Cargo was with the Rockies.
Oh, that's right. Carlos Gonzalez was Rockies. Gomez, that's right. Yeah. That's why I said Gonzalez first. I was stuck on Cargo.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Cargo would work for him too, but
yeah, it would, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Carlos Gonzalez was Cargo.
Yep. All right. Next one. Which Philadelphia Phillies first baseman had 3 consecutive seasons of at least 20 home runs between 1997 and 1999?
So that's before Ryan Howard, right?
Yep.
So who was before Ryan Howard?
This is a guy I had on the obscure players list like a year or so ago. Left-handed hitter.
Oh, is this my boy Rico Bronya?
It's your boy Rico Bronya.
Who I
Yes, for
randomly
sure.
brought up on one episode, and then he was a trivia question I couldn't get right.
Yep, Rico Bronya. Yes,
I
good.
just such a cool name. I just like saying his name.
Oh, it's so good. All right. Who threw the first no-hitter ever in Florida/Miami Marlins history?
Oh, so that's when was it before the first World Series?
I
So before
believe
97?
so. I believe so.
So was that be like Levon?
Not Levon.
Who else pitched on those teams?
Yeah, this happened in 1996.
Okay, so before the World Series. So in 96, who'd you have on that team? You had Levon Hernandez. That was before Josh Beckett. That was before all those power arms, before Brad Penny.
Yep.
Oh, I mentioned him earlier. Was Al Leiter on that team?
It was Al Leiter. Nice job.
I was like, wait a second. Al Leiter, I used to watch him pitch for the Marlins. I just can't remember when.
Yep. May 11th, 1996. Nice job. All right. Who was the first Montreal Expos closer to record a 40-save season?
I'm sad to say I know this one because he was also a Red Sox, and I hated him. I hated him once he got to the Red Sox. This was Jeff Rear-End.
Yes, it was.
He was the worst in Boston, and everybody was so pumped when he came because he was coming from Montreal, and he was so good there.
Yep, nice.
I remember in my house he was known as Jeff Rear-End.
That's hilarious.
Yep, my parents hated this guy. When did he come to Boston?
I don't know.
1990.
Yeah, I was gonna say had to been early 90s.
He was horrendous.
But
I mean, he wasn't that bad, but like he blew a lot of big saves.
Yeah. So 41 in 1985. Nice.
Damn. Yeah, so he didn't come to Boston for a while after that.
Yeah. All right. In December of 2003, the Brewers made a big trade with the Diamondbacks, receiving Lyle Overbay, Junior Spivey, Jorge De La Rosa, Chris Capuano, and Craig Counsell in exchange for Shane Nance and who?
This Randy?
Not Randy.
So you said big, and I'm like, I don't remember Randy going to the Brewers.
No.
The Brewers made a big trade. Is that time? Overbay, Spivey.
Big is in trade because this dude was massive.
Oh, okay. Like big guy.
Yes.
In 2003. The Brewers made a big trade. Okay, so he went from the Brewers to the Diamondbacks.
Yes.
Oh, is this your favorite guy, Richie Sexton?
It is Richie Sexton. Mm-hmm. Good.
Good old Richie Sexton.
Yep. Big old guy. And then right after Richie Sexton was Corey Hart, who was almost the same exact stature and everything like that. It was crazy.
Was it you or Sean that we used to bring him up randomly? It might have been Sean.
I mean, both of us.
Yeah, I feel like he randomly shows up on this show from time to time.
He just had crazy pop. He really did.
And like a crazy short swing, too, for a guy that was massive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yes, John, those Expos unis were fire for sure. I mean, hands down. All right. Who holds the franchise record for most times striking out for the Cincinnati Reds?
I mean, Pete?
No, not Pete.
Dude only played 7 trillion games there.
Right.
Although he didn't strike out a lot to his credit. I mean, the other person to me would be Mr. Red, Joey Votto.
It is Joey Votto.
Who was also there for a really long time.
Yep. 1,640.
Oh,
so
that's a lot of Ks.
It's a lot of miles back and forth between home plate and the dugout.
Boy, that's a lot of steps taken. He got his steps in, that's for sure.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. I hated putting that one on, but I was like, damn it.
I mean, when you think of the Reds, there's only 2 guys like have that kind of longevity: Pete Rose and Joey Votto.
Yep. I agree.
Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn's a great one.
He was probably right behind Joey Votto.
Yeah, and he was only there for a handful of years, but
Yeah, it doesn't take long when you whiff 250 times a year.
no. Yeah, crazy. All right. Who led the Pittsburgh Pirates in drawing the most walks in 2024?
They don't walk very much, so that's probably not a big number.
It's not a big number. It's staggeringly low.
That is a
If
team that does not walk a lot. I mean, Brian Hayes never walks. Brian Reynolds doesn't walk very much. I mean, none of those guys walk very much. Like, who would lead that team in walks? Austin Hedges? Like,
he doesn't get enough plate appearances.
I mean, Connor Joe. I mean, none of those guys walk a lot. I mean, the veteran McCutcheon.
It is McCutcheon. 58. That's it.
58 walks.
Led
That's
the
so
team.
bad.
Led the team. The others were like in the 30s and 20s. Like,
Yeah, I mean, none of those guys walk.
it was bad.
I've never
Well-
seen a whole team that doesn't walk.
Well, also the pitching, the opposing pitcher isn't going to nibble corners with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're
Well-
going straight at them.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, granted, that team can hit in kind of waves, but
Yeah.
they also go real quiet sometimes.
Yep. Andrew McCutcheon was 58.
58. I mean, that's terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
for McCutcheon, that's probably average because he's a guy that swings the bat quite a bit and swings it well.
Yeah.
But that's not a impressive number.
No. All right. Who holds the franchise record for highest career slugging percentage for the Chicago Cubs? This one you gotta go way back for this one.
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be like a Sammy or somebody like that.
No.
Ernie?
Even before him.
Oh, damn. Okay.
He holds another pretty big statistic record for a single season
Like for the league or for the Cubs?
for the league.
Oh, boy. So he holds a record, a single season or a career record for the league?
A single season record for the league. And it's a lot of them.
It's a lot of them.
A lot of stakes.
Oh, is this Hack Wilson
It is Hack Wilson.
with his 190 RBIs?
Yeah. 191 RBIs,
Oh,
a
yeah.
single season total, 590 slugging percentage for a career.
Jeez.
Yeah. Insane.
Nobody will ever touch that RBI record. No shot.
100. The only person that had a shot was Juan Gonzalez, and he just did not have a good second half.
No, he had 108 at the break and then fell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 109 and
30
then
short?
ended. Yeah, it was like 109. I think he finished with 157. I think those two.
That's right. He
numbers
didn't
together.
make it to 160.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Still, 157 is ridiculous.
It's still bananas. I mean, Aaron Judge led the entire league with 135 this year?
Yeah. The one that still blows me away is Lou Gehrig's total of 185 RBIs with Babe Ruth clearing the bases in front of him.
Right.
Like, that one just like
Yeah. Who the hell's left for you to drive in, man?
that one just blows my mind.
Yeah. Who's left?
Yeah. Crazy. All right. Which St. Louis Cardinal won the MVP award in 1971?
Oh, God. So that timing doesn't work for the usual suspects like Gibson, Brock, Musial are way after for Musial. Who in the 70s?
We have seen, as Red Sox fans, we have seen a lot of this guy. And not for our team.
A lot of this guy?
Oh, yeah. Probably more than we would want to.
Well, it's not Aaron Boone, so.
Nope, but you're on the right track.
So is he a current manager?
No, he was a manager for the team that Boone manages for now.
Oh, is this Joe Torre?
This is Joe Torre.
And when I say people, I include myself. Forget how good a player Joe Torre actually was.
Yeah, for sure.
He was not just a manager; he was a damn good ball player.
Yeah.
Like whenever I see the clips of like all those 70s All-Star teams, he's on every freaking one of them, it seems.
Yeah, he was good. Catcher, third base. I think he kind of bounced back and forth between those two. All right, Last 5 onto the NL West here. Here
Oh, boy.
we go. Who was the first San Diego Padre to win MVP?
Well, it wasn't Tony Gwynn.
Nope.
MVP. This is what, back in the 90s
Mm-hmm.
when they made the World Series run?
Mm-hmm.
John Electric sideburns on Tory. Those
For sure.
the sideburns were money. His
I mean,
his Hall of Fame plaque should absolutely have those sideburns.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my boy Ken Caminiti.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is your boy, Ken
Yep.
Caminiti, for sure. All right. Next one. Who holds the franchise record for most career triples for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Well, fast forward a few years, it'll be Corbin Carroll.
For sure. He's third on the list, I think, when I was looking at it.
It won't be long.
He's got like 30 something already.
Oh, let's see. Franchise record for most. So who hit a lot of triples there? So Council, Womack.
This might be a little bit of a sleeper, but he is a middle infielder.
Like a Jay Bell or a
Nope. Think shortstop.
shortstop for the Diamondbacks.
He had a brother that played in the league at the same time.
Oh, is this Stephen Drew?
It is Stephen Drew.
Really?
Yeah, 52.
Like I thought of him, and I'm like, there's no way he leads in triples.
Yep. 52.
I mean, he was good in Arizona.
Yeah.
But I honestly like when I came across his name in my head, I'm like, nah, there's no way.
Yeah. Same.
Huh.
I think I
too.
doubled and triple checked that one because I was like, I'm pretty sure Carroll's got to have 52 already. But
I mean, you know, in a few years, Corbin Carroll will hold that record. But good for Stephen Drew.
Yeah, I mean, Corbin Carroll career triples right now is at it's ridiculous. Let's see. He's been in the league what, 2.5 years?
2.
And we've got 26 triples already. So, well,
he's halfway there.
Yeah. It's crazy.
How long was Stephen Drew in Arizona? It was a while, wasn't it?
I think so. I think it was until his free agency.
I really only think of him with the Diamondbacks. I know he went many other places, but
yeah, he came to the Red Sox for a year too, didn't he? That was a debacle. Yeah.
Yeah, 6.5 seasons.
Yeah.
And then a season and a half in Boston.
Yeah. Was the Diamondbacks his first team?
Yes, he came up with Arizona.
So that makes sense. 6.5 years, gets into the free agency, and then he's gone.
Yep. Wow.
All right. Who is the only player to hit multiple home runs in their big league debut on opening day? He achieved this with the Colorado Rockies.
Was it Tulo?
Not Tulo.
I remember this.
You are, I mean, all around it, though.
Is it the outfielder that's now a broadcaster? What was his name?
Ryan Spilborghs. It's not him. It's a great name drop, but it's not Spilborghs.
I know. For some reason, I thought we had him for a trivia question. It wasn't that, but something kind of weird.
Yeah, you are really close when you say Tulo.
Is it Trevor Story?
It is Trevor Story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had shortstop in mind. I went to Tulo.
Yeah, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. Only player to debut and hit multiple home runs on opening day. A few players have had multiple home run games in their debut, but never on opening day. So pretty cool.
And that was back when Trevor Story played baseball games. So that's helpful too.
Facts. We'll get into that on Sunday. I'm sure that will come up. Anyways.
I mean, nothing else to talk about, right?
Yeah. All right. Who holds the franchise record for most home runs for the New York/San Francisco Giants?
Okay, for the lack of creativity, is it Willie Mays?
It is Willie Mays.
I feel like there's only one name that comes to mind there.
Yeah, so I was trying to be a little bit sneaky with that one to see if people would bite on the Barry Bonds.
Yep.
but yeah, 646.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
all
Barry
with
hit
the
so many in
Giants.
Pittsburgh that Willie still got him.
Right. Yeah. All right. And the final question for trivia tonight, Harrison.
Oh boy.
Who holds the franchise record for lowest career ERA for the Los Angeles Dodgers? A minimum of 500 innings pitched or 50 decisions.
Well, there's a lot to choose from there. So, I mean, Kershaw, Koufax.
Nope, not Kershaw, but you're in the right era with Kershaw.
Okay, so this is a more recent pitcher
Yes, sir.
with 500 innings. So they had to have been there for, I mean, at least probably 3 years.
You did mention his name already at some point tonight.
Oh. Okay.
It was for the Royals question.
Zach Greinke?
Yes, sir.
You got to be kidding me.
2.3 ERA when
I mean,
with
he
LA.
was so good in LA, but I would never have thought that he's got the lowest career. I mean, he wasn't there that long. Probably helps.
Yeah, but yeah, 2.3.
Wow,
Crazy.
that's a really low ERA.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long was Greinke there?
That had, like you said, had to have been 3 years.
Yeah, he couldn't have been long.
No. But yeah.
That's wild.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, he was in LA for exactly 3 seasons.
Yep. Good.
And he was nasty out there.
Yep. All right. Before we get into this next segment, I do want to bring up the fact to John, who, gave us the suggestion to do the smugness ratings for MLB teams. Just to let you guys know, we are working on that, but that's going to have to be a project that me and Harrison get on and try to figure out together. So we are working on that. It will be a few weeks, but we will get it out. I promise. But Harrison threw this out on our Facebook page and our story, and I thought this was incredible. And I want to see what your takes on it are in the comments as well. So MLB on Fox released a meme or photo of whatever. They ranked the 10 best rotations ever. My God, talk much? And so this is according to them, not us, but we can discuss it and see if we agree or not. So here we go. Starting with number 10, the 2018 Cleveland Guardians rotation. Corey Kluber, Mike Clevenger, Carlos Carrasco, Trevor Bauer, Shane Bieber. And this is also in the order of how many games they started for that season. So that's how I did that. So
gotcha.
Would you rank this the 10th best, do you think? I mean, it's hard to see when you don't see the other rotations, but I mean, this is a pretty ridiculous rotation.
Well, I mean, that was like Cy Young era Corey Kluber. That was Mike Clevenger, who at the time was also a Cy Young candidate. Carrasco, who was sneaky, like a sneaky good guy. Bauer, who was on the way up, and Bieber, who was on the way up. Like that was a young power arm rotation. And Kluber, who was I'd call him the elder statesman, but he wasn't even that old himself. That was like Cy Young era Corey Kluber, and he was nasty, like untouchable.
He threw such a heavy ball. Like it seemed like they just could not get the ball out of the infield. Like
nothing was ever hit hard.
No.
You never squared him up. I mean, that was unfortunate. That was pretty sure that was the year Bauer threw the ball into the seats. But I mean, and that was, Bauer's stuff was really coming together. Shane Bieber was really taking off like that. I mean, that 1 through 5, that's a pretty nasty list of guys who at that time were all either at their peak or coming to it.
Yep, I agree. And the name that kills me on this list is Shane Bieber. Like, yes, he had the Cy Young in 2020 where he only had to make 4 starts. But I mean, he's starting to creep up into that what if category with Jacob deGrom and Mike Trout and all them guys. Like it's tough to see what he could have been if he could stay on the field. He just can't.
So Clevenger in 2018 was 13-8 with a 3.02 ERA and 32 starts. 207 strikeouts and 200 innings pitched.
Yep.
I mean, and he was probably the lesser known of that whole group.
Yeah.
And then when did Kluber win his Cy Young? He won it in 17. So this is the year after.
Yeah.
So in 2018, Kluber was 20-7 with a 2.89 and pitched 215 innings.
Yeah. Yeah. Disgusting.
And then his career completely fell off after that. Like,
Yeah.
he only won another 20 games over the next 5 seasons and he was out of baseball.
Because he went to, did he go to the Rangers after?
He did. Yeah, he made like
Rangers.
one start there, and then he went to the Yankees for that 1 year.
Oh, that's right.
He pitched half the season. Then he went to Tampa, where he actually had a full season and looked normal. I mean, he looked like he was back. He was 10-10 with a 4.34, and then came to Boston in 23, where he was 3-6 with a 7.04, and then he was gone.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, I completely. I think I blacked it out of my mind that he came to Boston. I think it was just.
Well, remember he was the opening day starter. We're like, oh great, we're in for a long friggin' season.
Yep.
And then
Oh,
2018,
no.
Bauer was 12-6 with a 2.21.
Yeah.
Struck out 221 and 175. I mean,
Yeah.
Those were some nasty arms.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, 2018 Cleveland Guardians, number 10.
Yeah, that's a good rotation.
Number 9, 2019 Washington Nationals. So we got Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, Max Scherzer, Anibal Sanchez, and Eric Feedy.
Yeah, who I think was just along for the ride.
At that point, yes, because it was just Strasburg, Corbin, and Scherzer and Sanchez in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that was it. Really, Sanchez played a minor role in that whole group. I mean,
but Corbin came out of the bullpen, didn't he? I don't think Corbin was starting in the playoffs. I think it was just Scherzer, Strasburg, and Sanchez. I think they were using Corbin out of the bullpen.
You might be right. I think Corbin started and then was in the bullpen. I think he started in like the divisional series when they was in the bullpen after that.
Yeah, that just sticks out to me, I think.
Yeah, but that rotation was so good because Strasburg and Scherzer were so good.
Yeah.
That's what carried it. I mean, Corbin was good, don't get me wrong, but it was the Strasburg and Scherzer show.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2019, Strasburg was 18-6 with a 3.32.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's
Max Scherzer was in 2019. Scherzer was 11-7 with a 2.92.
Yeah. This rotation was lights out.
Especially in the postseason. They won a World Series. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah. So you will see as we keep going on this list, there are names that keep popping up, and it's really not a coincidence.
No.
Right? I mean, it's pretty cool. This list was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So real quick as we transition. So John, you're coming about Bauer. If anyone has the brass to get Bauer, they'll get a 12-14 win pitcher for cheap.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I watch Bauer's videos online. I actually enjoy Trevor Bauer. I know that he's an acquired taste. I like Trevor Bauer. I think he got a raw deal. I think he's still an elite level arm talent guy. And I agree. I think he would show up Major League Baseball tomorrow and be somebody's number 3 starter and win 12-14 games easily. And he'd be entertaining as hell, but nobody wants a sideshow. So we're stuck where we're stuck.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to is the sideshow. And
I mean, down in Mexico, like he can sword people and scream and holler and wave at the crowd. Like he can do all that stuff in Mexico, but like MLB doesn't want it.
Yeah, he is literally like the real life Eastbound and Down for sure. I mean, like it's the whole sideshow piece with him, and like
nobody wants it.
No, and he was starting to talk his way out of Major League Baseball before all the off the field stuff started happening. Let's be honest. Like he was vocal and calling out the league like all the time. On social media. So it started there, and then all that happened, and then it was the league's kind of excuse to be like, all right, like we're done with this dude. So but I agree.
Yeah, I mean he totally talked, he worked his way right out of the game. And you know, it's easy when you're winning the Cy Young Award to talk trash like he did. Because he had a 1.73 ERA that season and was nasty, but it's another when you have a little bit of when there's a little bit of problem that pops up, it's an easy way to pull the plug, and that's exactly what happened.
Yep. All right, number 8, 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks. Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling, Miguel Batista, Brian Anderson, Robert Ellis. Now, It's really the top three here.
Yeah, I mean, and Brian
Really the
Anderson.
top two.
Yeah, Brian Anderson is in his own right. Like he was a solid, pretty much. He was a soft throwing lefty, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
If I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
But I mean, when you've got Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling at the top, it almost doesn't matter who comes after, because good luck getting through those guys.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was literally. Yeah, you're right. He was a left-handed pitcher, little soft junk pitcher.
Yeah,
but
and
he was,
and a guy who was in his own right, like a decent pitcher.
Yeah,
and he just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I mean, in 2001. He was 4-9 with a 5.20 ERA. He was a back end of the rotation guy. He ate up innings. That was his job.
Right.
But in career wise, that's who he was. He was an innings eater, 500 type pitcher. And Miguel Batista, highly underrated, underappreciated what he did. But really, it was all Randy and Curt.
Oh, for sure.
And then, I mean, like Robert Ellis, who the hell's that?
I don't know.
Does it even matter?
No, it doesn't at that point, because they'll just bring Randy Johnson out on 2 days rest to close out the World Series. Like,
yeah,
crazy.
Exactly. Like Miguel Batista, highly underrated guy, very good in his own right. Brian Anderson was a 500 pitcher that 8 innings. It was all about the top two. And you may not find a better 1-2 punch in the history of baseball than those guys.
Now, I do kind of agree with you on this one, John, because, like, yes, Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling are no joke, right? I mean, we all know how dominating these guys were in 2001. But does that really make it a top 10 rotation? Because the other three are just kind of along for the ride. They're there.
Yeah, I mean, Miguel Batista in 2001 was 11-8 with a 3.36 ERA.
So, he was okay.
He was good. He was a good number 3 starter. Brian Anderson was a soft throwing 500 pitcher, and Robert Ellis is, I don't even know, but it was the dominance of Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. Though, and in 2001, those guys had seasons that were just absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, 2001 was the year. In 2001, Randy was 21-6 with a 2.49 and K'd 372.
Yeah. And Curt Schilling was 22-6 with a 2.98, 256 innings pitched.
I mean, those two combined to win 43 games and strike out like 700 batters. I mean, the dominance of those two alone make the whole rotation a top 10.
293 Ks for Schilling.
Yeah, so you're like 650-ish Ks. Jesus. And 43 wins between the two of them.
That's a
I mean, it's just not right. Like, it was because those guys, those two being as good as they were, and Miguel Batista being okay, is all it takes to make that a top 10 rotation.
Yeah, I mean, fair. And they won the World Series. So
again, yeah, they won. So
yeah. All right. Numero 7, number 7, 2021 Los Angeles Dodgers. You got, yeah, those numbers are like I'm playing the show on easy mode for sure.
Oh, those are video game numbers. Like, it's not right what those guys did that year.
Yeah. All right. 2021 Los Angeles Dodgers. You got Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Trevor Bauer, David Price, Tony Gonsolin, Max Scherzer. So here's Trevor Bauer's, his name again.
Yep.
But you had Walker Buehler coming up and dealing, like the good old Walker Buehler. You had Clayton Kershaw. David Price came over from, the Red Sox. And then Gonsolin, I believe, came up as a rookie that year. And then you got Max Scherzer. So,
and Scherzer was 7-0 with a 1.98 ERA for them. Like, he only made 11 starts.
Yeah, I think that was a mid-season trade, I believe, if I remember right.
Yeah, and it looks like I can't tell where he came from. It looks like he signed with them early in the year, but was out or something. I don't know. And then Gonsolin in 21, he was 4-1 with a 3.23. Like, it was a bit of a patchwork of pitchers. And Bauer, didn't he get booted in 2021? Yeah, that was Bauer's last. Bauer was 8-5 with a 2.59, made 17 starts and got suspended.
Yeah.
So like you look at that list, Bauer pitched part of the year, Gonsolin part of the year, Scherzer part of the year. David,
Yeah,
how many starts did David Price make? Like, wasn't he pitching out of the bullpen?
he made a lot of spot starts, but Scherzer came over from the Nationals in 21 at the deadline.
Oh, yeah, okay. He was a deadline deal. Yeah, Price was 5-2 with a 4.03. Like, this one to me is like Scherzer is 7-0, 198. Great. Part season. Gonsolin part season. Price part of a season. Trevor Bauer part of a season. I mean, it's really just Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one, when it popped up, I kind of went, really?
Yeah,
Like,
this was a weird one for me too. Yeah, we just kind of talked about Trevor Bauer a couple of minutes ago. I honestly, I am surprised that a team hasn't been desperate enough to give it a shot. When it all comes down to it, I
Yeah.
really am. But
Yeah. The guy's stuff is elite. So in 2021, Kershaw was 10-8 with a 3.55.
yeah,
This one I don't get. I don't get why this, Bueller was 16-4 with a 2.47.
that does it.
Yeah, which he was great. But he was the only guy in that rotation that was there for the whole year and put up numbers.
Yeah.
So Kershaw was okay. Bueller was great. Bauer was good. Price was meh. Gonsolin was good. Scherzer was 7-0 with a 198 in a part of a season. So to me, that's such a patchwork rotation. I have a tough time looking at them as one of the best of all time.
But they were 106 and 56 that year.
Oh yeah.
Like I mean, yeah, maybe not pitching wins, but like I mean, if you go 106 and 56, your rotation is doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the 21 Dodgers team was good in many ways. They're coming off of a World Series win. I mean, if we're counting 2020, but like I don't look at that pitching staff and go, oh my god, like that was a dominant pitching staff.
Yeah, I agree.
That was, I mean, it was a patchwork of guys that most of them spent part of the season there.
Which it's been that way every year since, pretty much.
Yeah, because they don't have guys that can consistently stay on the field.
All right, number 6, 2016 Chicago Cubs. John Lester, Jake Arrieta, Kyle Hendricks, John Lackey, and Jason Hamill.
I mean, Lester was really good, although he couldn't make a pickoff throw to first.
Didn't need to.
Well, no, but if there's nobody standing there, there's no need to make a throw over. But
right. But Jason Hamill, your 5th starter, was 15 and 10 that year.
Yeah, Arrieta was 18 and 8 with a 3.10.
Yeah, Arrieta was disgusting.
Yeah, and Arrieta had a stretch where he was maybe the best pitcher in baseball between Chicago and Philly. I mean, I guess really just Chicago and Philly is where he started to fall off.
Yeah, John, this is a fair point. I mean, it's definitely the lack of a better word, the flair of the Dodgers. Like the 2001 Mariners won 116 games with a no-name pitching staff. I mean, I get it. We don't really agree with that one for sure at number 7. But
yeah, Lester was 19 and 5 with a 2.44. He was an absolute horse for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good rotation. Lester was very good. Arrieta was very good. Hendricks was still very good. Lackey was good, and Hamill was good. I mean, they were all good.
Yeah.
And they won a World Series. Broke a curse. That says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's John Lackey. He's such an interesting career, and
he was an interesting character.
Yeah, 11 and 8 for the Cubs that year too, 3.35. But yeah, those years in Boston were up and down. But
yeah, in 2016, that was the year after Arrieta. Arrieta won the Cy Young in 2015 when he was 22 and 6 and literally was untouchable.
Yeah, crazy. All right, we're getting into the top 5. Yeah, he had a 0.5 ERA for like 3 months. I definitely remember that. No one could.
Yeah, was that 15 or 16? Hell, it could have been both. I mean, he was
filthy.
He was so good in 15.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Top 5. Number 5, 2010 San Francisco Giants. Matt Cain, Tim Lincecum, Barry Zito, Jonathan Sanchez, Madison Bumgarner, and Todd Wellemeyer.
Yep.
I'm
That rotation was loaded.
Tim Lincecum alone. I mean, this is another what if guy for sure. I mean, 2007 to 16, and then we're done.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Matt Cain in 2010 was a tough luck guy. Like he was 13-11 with a 3.14 ERA. He made 33 starts, pitched 223 innings.
yeah.
Like just a workhorse.
So, I mean, Tim Lincecum in 08, Cy Young. 09, Cy Young. He didn't win the Cy Young in 2010. He was 16-10. We started to kind of fall off a little bit here.
Yep.
But those 2008, 2009, he was so disgustingly dominant. 2.62 and a 2.48, like 6 complete games in those 2 years, 3 shutouts, 526 strikeouts in those 2 years.
Yeah.
And I mean,
2010 was a rookie Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah.
Like he was just starting to emerge.
Yeah.
But like that rotation was nasty. Lincecum was like it was a video game. Watching what he did was like watching a video game.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of this definitely is names too. I think, it's not necessarily just stats that they use to put this together. Like they just looked at it and was like, yeah, names.
2010, that was the back end of Barry Zito's career. He was 9-14 with a 4.15 ERA and on the way out of baseball.
But that's what I mean. Like Barry Zito is still a big name though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But he was not good.
Right.
I mean, Cain and Lincecum really carried that. Zito was eating innings. Bumgarner was a rookie. And Sanchez and Wellemeyer were just kind of filling it out. So this is really about Matt Cain and Tim Lincecum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, which it was a very deep, balanced rotation, but it wasn't like a blow you out of the water rotation.
Yeah. I almost wish this was like top 10 rotations of pitchers in their prime. You know what I mean? Like you take the prime of these guys, then
totally different.
5.
Totally different.
All right.
Yeah, like the 2021 Dodgers, I'm not sold on. The 2010 Giants, it's a good rotation, but like number 5 all time.
Yeah. And I don't think this can't be just all time. These are all after 2000 or like 1995
were they? Okay,
or something like that, except for number 1, which we'll get to.
Oh, you're right. These are since 2000. You're right.
It's not, number 1's not. So I don't know what the time frame was.
Okay. Fair enough.
See. All right. Number 4, 2013 Detroit Tigers. I mean, this one I think deserves in the top 4 for sure.
Doug Fister was super good in that stretch. Sanchez was super good. Porcello was, super good. And then you had Verlander and Scherzer, who are the anchors. Like that 2013 Tigers team was stupid good.
Yep. But Anibal Sanchez again shows up on the list. He was on
Max Scherzer again.
Yep. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Doug Fister, who for a stretch there was, maybe the best pitcher they had. Maybe not that year, but 2013 he was 14-9 with a 3.67 ERA.
Yeah.
2014 he was 16-6 with a 2.41.
So I think this is the only extra stat that I've put in these slides because it kind of blew my mind. The least amount of games started by a person in this group was 29. So Rick Porcello had the least amount of starts with 29. Everybody else had 30 plus.
Yeah, John, you're right. Hit it if you can rotation.
Yeah.
That is a rotation that absolutely filled the strike zone.
Yeah.
And had crazy good stuff. Like Fister threw a really heavy ball, tons of ground balls. Sanchez was the same way. Porcello was the same way. We saw him up close, heavy sinkers. Like there must have been a bazillion ground balls behind those guys.
Yep. Agree. Doug Fister. Yeah, he did come to Boston that one year. I thought he was 5-9. Yeah, and then he was in Washington. I remember when he was in Washington too. But
he had those kind of 3 seasons, 2 in Detroit, 1 in Washington, where he was really, really good. And then otherwise, he was pretty much a mediocre guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seattle, he really wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It was Detroit. 8-1, 10-10, 14-9, and then 16-6 with the Nationals, and then not much to talk about after that.
Yeah. All right. Number 3. The 2018 Houston Astros. So Verlander again, Dallas Keuchel, Garrett Cole, Charlie Morton, Lance McCullough Jr.
Was that Keuchel's Cy Young season?
I believe it was. He was lights out.
Untouchable.
And then talk about a flash in the pan, because he was never the same really after that.
What year? Oh, 2018. No, 15 was the Cy Young.
Yeah, he was 20-8 that year. God
Yeah.
dang.
2018, he was 12-11 with a 3.74.
He did start 34 games for them in 2018.
He 8 innings. I mean, Justin Verlander, stud. Garrett Cole was a stud. Charlie Morton was younger and really good at that time. Lance McCullers Jr., highly underrated. Keuchel was an innings eater coming off of Cy Young a few years before. Like, that is a pretty solid rotation.
Yep, I'd take it.
I mean, they won with that, right?
2018. No, they won in 17.
Oh, that's right, 17.
The Red Sox won in 18.
Oh, that's right. It's the 18 Astros. You're right.
Yeah. 7 or 8 to you. All right. I mean, fair. Yeah. I mean, we don't necessarily agree with the ordering of.
No. Yeah, we did not pick these.
Temperatures.
Yeah, McCullers in 18 was 10-6 with a 3.86 ERA.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good rotation.
Yeah.
Very good rotation. They won a lot of games.
All right, here we go. Top 2, number 2, 2011 Philadelphia Phillies. I mean,
this one's not even up for debate.
No.
Halladay, Lee. I mean, come on.
Hamels, Oswalt, and Vance Worley.
That was the rotation you built in a video game when you turned off like all the trade rules.
Yeah. And
like,
the budget.
You brought in Halladay and Lee and Hamels and Oswalt. And then Worley's the one guy you had to keep because you couldn't do anything else with him.
Yep. And even 2011, he was 11-3, started 21 games, had one complete game. Yeah.
Yeah, that rotation was.
And he was a rookie that year.
Pretty good.
He was rookie of the year, third place rookie of the year, Vance Worley.
Well, yeah, but after that there wasn't much, right?
No. All right. And the number 1 rotation, the 1998 Atlanta Braves. So I don't know exactly what time frame they're using here, but I mean, obviously Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Denny Nagel, Kevin Millwood, John Smoltz. So this is by the order of how many innings or how many games were started by each guy. But I mean, all those Braves rotations in the 90s were ridiculous. Steve Avery, I mean, insane. I think Terry Mulholland made a start in Atlanta for a little bit there.
In 98, that was at the end of Greg Maddox's Cy Young runs. He still finished 4th. He was 18-9 with a 2.22. You had Millwood, who was on the way up.
Yeah.
Kevin Millwood in 98 was he a rookie? Yeah, he was. That was his second season. He was 17-8 with a 4.08 ERA. And then, Glavine, Smoltz. Yeah, John, you're right. Like the mid to late 90s Braves were so good. Like those rotations were so good.
Yeah. And you got Denny Nagel. In 97, he was 20-5. In 98, he was 16-11 with a 3.55.
Slacker.
But yeah.
98, Glavine was 20-6 with a 2.47 and won the Cy Young.
Yeah.
I mean, so Maddux won 4 Cy Youngs in a row. Glavine won 1 in there. I mean, they were every year, like in the top 5 Cy Young votes, there was at least two Braves pitchers in the voting. It was just dumb.
Yeah, and then you got John Smoltz that started in there, and then after that, it was just, I'll just go close games, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
But
just dumb.
Steve Avery in 98 was 10-7. He started 23 games, so just off the list.
Yeah, and then Steve Avery came to Boston, and he was awful.
Yeah. Oh no, that's where it was. Sorry, Steve Avery's last year in Atlanta was 96.
Oh, you're right. He was in Boston for 97, 98, and he was terrible.
Yeah.
Below replacement level. Sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
98 Braves. John, we've said this, I don't know how many times. I have no idea how those 90s Braves or Indians didn't win multiple championships. How
Yeah.
those teams didn't win multiples, I don't know.
I
I'll
mean,
never understand it.
The Yankees were freaking good, man.
They were, but those teams were so loaded. Those
They
Indians
were. They
teams,
were.
I mean, those Indians teams on paper were better. They just could not seem to get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Same with the Braves. Like, how many times have the Braves go into a series the heavy favorite and lose?
I mean, they went to the World Series a bunch of years in a row and then just couldn't
Yeah,
beat them.
they were like the Buffalo Bills, which is probably a sore subject right now for Bills fans after watching yet another AFC championship loss.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to play against two teams in the same game when you're playing against the Chiefs and the refs, but that's
it's really hard to beat the team the NFL wants to win.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this rotation is definitely number one, but I want to know what the parameters are because those were all 2000s rotations minus this one. This is kind of an outlier. So I don't know what they're.
And I look at the 90 Atlanta Braves, like for sure, that's a top 1 or 2 rotation. But like the 21 Dodgers, like that one probably doesn't belong in there. There's a couple in here that I kind of question. The 2010 Giants probably don't belong in here. That was a team that won a lot of games, but the rotation was not like great.
No.
So I found it interesting that the way they had kind of ranked him. I shared it with you and we were like, this is pretty cool. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Maybe they have it was the best of the last 30 years, maybe. Would that have fit the Yes, it was. It was the last 30 years. I have the article right now.
Oh, okay, good. That at least makes sense.
Yeah. The honorable mention, I would almost probably crack the top 10 and take the Dodgers out, was Tim Hudson, Barry Zito, Mark Mulder, Ted Lilly.
They were so good. I mean, and Lilly was so good.
And 34 games started, 35 for Zito, 26 from Mulder, and then 31 for Lilly. I mean, he was the worst at 12-10 with a 4.34, but everybody else
he was just he got such bad luck too.
Yep. Everybody else was a sub 3.3.
Yep.
Hudson 2.7, Barry Zito 3.3, and Mulder a 3.13.
Yeah.
I probably would have put them in the top 10.
I'd have put them in. I would have taken the Dodgers or the Giants out.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Those two were not super impressive to me.
And I would almost switch the Tigers and Astros too. I think I would have put the 2013 Tigers ahead of the 18 Astros.
I would agree with you on that one. I think that Astros rotation was good only because you had Verlander and Cole. But yeah, the A's from 2000 to 2004.
Yeah,
those rotations were disgusting.
Oh, how did on that Dodgers slide? I missed one. I missed Julio Urias. That was the year he was 20-3.
Yeah, so he was the anchor.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed that, but my bad.
And he's still out of baseball, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's been back from injury. I think he's one of those guys that just can't come back from all the arm trouble.
I thought Urias got in legal trouble too, didn't he?
Oh, he might have. You're right. I forgot all about that. Yeah, 2023.
Yeah, free agent forgotten MLB after his domestic violence case. No, but he's it sounds like it's all over, but he's not welcome.
Yeah. So yeah, he won't face a felony charge, but yeah, they just won't.
Yeah, he pleaded no contest,
and it was caught on camera.
Oh yeah, there's video of it everywhere. Like it was not good. He shoved her and then threw a punch at her.
Yeah, well, that will do it, I guess.
Yeah, and he kind of falls into that dirtbag category, which is why nobody wants him.
Crazy. Dang. But yeah, that was, I thought, pretty interesting. But again, don't agree with the whole list, but it was pretty cool.
No, and I feel like sometimes they put a couple in there just to try to get people to talk. Like it's a way to get engagement online. Sure. But I mean, I think for the most part, they were I think for the most part they were accurate in terms of like those were really good rotations, but there's definitely a couple that I don't think belong in there over others.
Yeah, agree.
So,
So
but at the same time, everybody wants to ball wash the Dodgers, so that's what we do now.
yeah, I mean, fair. But all right, do you have anything else to add before we take off for the evening?
No, I mean I think we're I think we are in the final stretch. I will say that I saw today we are 60 days from opening day, um, which is awesome. And I'm just looking forward to there being some baseball again. Like the off season is fun and exciting for the hot stove piece of it, but there's nothing better than the start of a new season.
No, absolutely agree. Um, Still waiting on news from Alonso and Bregman, so we'll see where that kind of falls. But I mean, there's still going to be some signings left in this last few weeks here, but yeah.
Oh, I do have one thing for you. I read this earlier. I meant to bring it up. Um, there's an article that came out in the Athletic a couple days ago talking more about the automated ball strike system.
Okay.
So there will be more than 6% of our spring training games will feature the system. The Diamondbacks will have it most at 29 games. Cubs will have the fewest at 7, and the average team in the Cactus League will get 21 games with the system, with half the ballparks expected to feature it. So it's going to be in half of the ballparks in the Cactus League, and the Grapefruit League teams will play an average of 19 games, with it only being in 13 parks. So it's going to be in kind of half the ballparks, and they're going to capture as many games as they can.
Yeah.
And what they're working on right now is the shape of the strike zone, depth of the strike zone, trying to adjust all that, getting all that prepped. So it sounds like it'll be ready to go for spring training games. Still very much a test. There's no plan to immediately roll this thing out. What's interesting is that the robo umps. So, and this is weird to me. One change players will have to adapt to is the fact that robo umps standardize the size of the strike zone regardless of count. So generally what happens is in different counts, umpires are a little more or less lenient. So in a three
right.
in a 3-0 count, the strike zone's a little bit bigger generally than in other counts. Whereas the computer makes no adjustment for that. It's the same strike zone for every pitch.
Which I'm sorry, that's how it should be. Strike zone's a strike zone. Like, I mean, I get the human aspect of it,
Absolutely.
where you want the guys to hit, but I I don't see why that's an issue.
Right. So the two things they're finding is that the area of the strike zone varies from count to count based on human tendencies, where ABS takes that out. It's the same size all the time. And then what they find is that if you look at the way the umpires call strikes, it tends to be more of an oval shape, like the corners, kind of the top and bottom corners kind of get rounded off because it's of the way they see it. ABS is a straight square, like a straight rectangle.
Right.
So one adjustment they're saying that will come from this is the realization of what the standard strike zone really is, and the fact that it should be the same for every count, which it's not. So there's a lot. They're expecting to learn a lot from this, and there's going to be a lot of good and bad that comes with it. But it's going to be interesting. I'll put the link in the chat for the article. I found the article interesting. The way they were explaining how it works.
Yeah, I mean, like I get people not wanting to take out the human aspect of the strike zone. Like I really do. And
Yeah,
but
there's a deep fear what it looks like if you take that out.
yeah, and I get that. But I need these pitches that are being called 6 inches outside a strike.
Right.
Or what my favorite clip from last year. I don't care what happened on the field. But I think it was the Royals announcer literally goes, and the first pitch of the ball game is right down the middle for ball one. I mean, like it was easily my favorite clip all year last year. And that needs to change. Like it's the egregious ones that they miss. Like if it's borderline, I mean, it's borderline. But down the middle for ball one or 8 inches outside for strike 3, those need to go away. That's not okay.
Yep.
But
yeah, it's time for MLB to have something. I think we're going to see there's going to be a lot of stuff that we learn in spring training. I would like to believe that this will be a system that we see it in full force in 2026. For exactly what you said, not to nickel and dime the umpires, but to fix the really bad calls.
Yeah. And John, I agree with you here. I think and this is what Harrison and I have been talking about for weeks now, it seems, is
Yeah.
like, just be accountable. There are some umpires out there that will go up to pitchers in between innings and be like, hey, dude, like, I missed that one. Sorry, that's my bad.
Right.
But there was a time where umpires were just like they missed the call and they get all defensive and then they start barking at the pitcher and then they toss them out. Like that. That's when we had the issue, was like, just say you messed up. Like, hey, whisper in your catcher's ear, be like, hey, dude, sorry, I missed that one. Like, but
Well,
you can't.
and like I remember in high school games, AAU games, college games, like you'd have an umpire go, "Oh, sorry, I missed that one." Like it would just tell you, like, "Sorry, I missed it."
Yep.
And granted, we were kids, like we were going to turn and argue and get thrown out of a game like a major leaguer, but like there has to be some level of like, geez, like I missed that one. Like, oops.
Yeah. I think the only time that I've ever said something to an umpire was I was catching the game, so I pretty much knew the strike zone, and I'm up the bat, and he calls me out on a pitch 5 inches out of the strike zone, and he goes, "I'm starting to walk away," and he goes, "I really hate ringing catchers up," and I go, "Then don't do it on pitches 5 inches out of the strike zone."
Yeah.
So it's like, and then just kept walking, but I never really talked to umpires either. Like, I get it, bad calls happen, but at a pro level, the highest level, you can't be calling pitches 6 to 8 inches out of the strike zone strikes, in my opinion. It can't happen. There's no excuse for it.
You cannot let major leaguers have to guess at what a ball and a strike is.
No.
And like what I found most interesting in that article is how much the size of the strike zone varies based on count.
Yeah.
Like, so here, an example is the ABS standard strike zone is a 443 square inch rectangle. The average 0-2 count strike zone is 412 square inches. The average 3-0 count strike zone is 550 square inches.
Yeah.
So like how many guys that take a 3-0 pitch on the edge and are pissed that it was called a strike are right that it was actually a ball? Probably a lot of them.
Right. Yeah.
When you have the strike zone that can vary by 25% pitch to pitch, like that's not right. Yeah, like that's a problem.
Yep.
That is a problem. Sure. And this is here just to flush that out.
Yeah, I agree.
And one other headline that caught my eye this week, yesterday, Orioles owner David Rubenstein came out and said he would support a salary cap in baseball. And other owners that he's spoken to feel the same way. The owners are feeling like this has gotten out of hand. And Rubenstein, his comment was, we could spend the money, but most other teams can't. Like we're at a point now where you have a handful of teams that are playing from a way different budget than everybody else.
Yeah.
And we have to do what the NFL did, which is basically create the same set of rules.
Yeah. I think they need both the floor and the ceiling. They need the cap and the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't do one without the other.
No, because you do have teams like, Rockies, the A's for a while before this year, the Pirates, the Marlins coming up. I can't imagine their payroll is going to be anything next year. They have to spend a certain amount or there's heavy consequences. And if you get over the cap, there's heavy consequences. Or you can't. Like it's a hard cap you have to get under or you start forfeiting games. But if they do that, how do you enforce it right away? Because the Dodgers wouldn't be able to get underneath that cap in one season. You would have to taper it off.
You have to phase it in, and what you kind of have to like grandfather existing contracts. So, you put. I think the one thing people miss is that if you put a salary cap in tomorrow, it doesn't fix baseball tomorrow. Like you won't actually feel the benefit of that for years, because teams have to have time to recalibrate and get under the cap. So,
right.
I'm pretty sure when the NFL put in the cap, they had like 3 years to get under the cap.
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't like like starting next year. It was like, no, like we have to give teams time to get there, which could require moves to have to get made down the road.
But then you just do the Dodgers game and you defer the rest of their contract. You just restructure everybody's contract and defer the money out.
Well, but if you had a luxury tax that was a salary cap right now, the Dodgers would be $100-something million over and have 5 guys they couldn't keep. So even if
Right.
you keep the deferred money intact using the math that they use, you'd
Oh,
still
they still have
have
the luxury tax.
you'd still have
Gotcha.
10 teams right now that are over the cap having to dump payroll.
Gotcha.
You had 9 last year that had to write luxury tax checks. You'd have those teams that have to be cutting players right now.
Gotcha.
The other problem too is that a salary cap doesn't work in a guaranteed contract world, because you can't make the moves to shed payroll or restructure or stretch out.
Right.
There's a lot more that goes into a salary cap than just like picking a number and making it a rule.
Yeah, which makes sense. And the MLBPA is not going to want that.
No, I mean they're gonna, if there's gonna be a cap, they're gonna want a floor, a very high floor, because it like I said months ago, the only way this works if you put in the salary cap and a floor to show the Players Association the same total dollars are available.
Right.
They're just spread across more teams. Yeah. And I think the other thing that does, it's going to force owners without the stomach to really spend the money to get out. Because right now you're going to start to force owners to either say, screw it, we're just going to be terrible and not, which hurts baseball, or they're going to sell because they can't afford to compete. Whereas if you put a salary cap in place and tell people the rules and they don't like the rules, well, now they've got a good reason to get out. So I think it's going to be easier to sell a cap and floor program to new ownership groups than the current structure. Because as Rubenstein said, this is going to be our second highest payroll in franchise history. We don't have the revenue that the Dodgers have to spend that kind of money. We just don't.
Right.
So that's why they've been quiet, because they're at a spot where they're not going to go spend that kind of money. So what else are we going to do? We're just going to sit tight.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, when you have these big market teams just absolutely, bullying their way around the league and saying, I can afford anybody I want, like it's hard for lower market teams, or even a team like the Orioles that would love to make moves and just can't financially do it. Like Baltimore's not a big market compared to Boston, New York, LA. That's just Chicago. That's just how it is. It's the country we live in. It's where the most people are. It's where you draw the most people. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you look
something to make it more balanced.
Yeah, it's like you look at like Seattle Mariners, because I know John was making a comment. The Seattle Mariners 2023 revenue was $396 million, and they profited $76 million on that. So they could absolutely put more money into payroll. They for sure could. Then you go to the Baltimore Orioles. Where'd they go? Baltimore Orioles revenue is $328 million, and they had a profit of $99 million, because of course that was when they had all the young kids and they had no real payroll in 2023.
Right.
And then in 2024, you added Corbin Burns and other things and probably took that number down quite a bit. So you have money to spend on payroll, not a lot more to spend on payroll, but you have some. You could go put another $40 million into payroll. Yeah. But what does it get you? Like, does it get you far enough ahead?
No, not even close. You can't compete with the Dodgers when it comes to that, or the Yankees for that matter.
Well, then you got the Yankees, $679 million in revenue, the most in the league, income of $2 million. They spend it all. Like the Yankees put every freaking dollar back into it.
Which is how it should be. Like that was the idea of revenue sharing, was the teams to put it back, not pocket.
Yeah, I mean the Red Sox, $500 million, they profited $62 million. The Cubs, $506, profited $68. Giants, $443, profited $50. The New York Mets, $393, lost $292 million because Cohen wrote a check for all those bad contracts.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so much money.
Back in 2023. I mean, your average organization doesn't make a lot of money, given but it also depends on where they're at payroll wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that we should do for another show down the road, is actually break down like what percentage of revenue do teams actually spend on their salary, on their payroll. I bet you'd find these lower market teams that don't look like they're spending much are spending on a percentage basis way more than the big market teams. And that's the problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Agree.
Yeah. So the first call for a salary cap has come out already.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's been kind of floated around the last few years anyway. So
2026 is coming. That conversation is going to happen.
Yep. And we're in for a long one for sure.
John, fun fact: Seattle's population has gone up 7x since we legalized pot and made the whole state a sanctuary state. I mean, that's happened in many places.
Yep.
Because of those same rules.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they're not baseball fans.
Right.
If they bought merchandise and tickets, it'd be a different story.
Yep. Well, maybe they should put dispensaries at the park then.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, buy a ticket, get a dime bag free.
Right. But
how do you do a giveaway like that? Seattle figure it out.
Yeah, right. First 2,000 fans get a free bag.
Yep.
But yeah. All right. Anything else for tonight?
No, that's it. Good show. We got hopefully some news that'll break this week, but otherwise we are plowing ahead to spring training here in a couple of weeks.
Yes, absolutely. So we will be doing, our season preview show here in the next couple of weeks. We'll probably do it maybe the first week of spring training. We try to do it fairly early. So keep your eye out for that. So we will be on next Monday at 8 or next Sunday. Sorry, since there's no football next week, we will be back on next Sunday at 8:30. And also for you Red Sox fans, make sure you keep an eye out for our Rounding Third Boston, which will also debut next Sunday as well.
And there's a good chance we'll pop on sometime later this week to talk a little baseball and just hang out with all you fine folks.
Absolutely. So thanks, as always, to everybody in the chat that came by, that stopped by, that's watching, and commenting. We love talking baseball with you guys all the time. So we will be back either this Thursday or next Sunday. Either way, just keep an eye out. Until then, just make sure that you follow and like us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram and TikTok and Rumble. You can also subscribe on YouTube and listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We will see y'all soon.